Well, we have some big breaking update coming in from West Asia. Let's tell you what is happening as far as the war is concerned, because US President Donald Trump has said that talks with Iran are progressing well and hinted that a deal could be reached as early as the weekend. Trump has said that negotiations on Iran's nuclear program are moving in a positive direction and expressed confidence that an agreement, a deal, may be very close with the country. He also said that the Strait of Hormuz could reopen if the ongoing talks lead to a wider understanding between the two countries. Now, despite the reports of some ceasefire violations in the last 24 hours, in fact, Donald Trump has said that ceasefire is largely holding and diplomatic efforts are continuing. His comments, remember, come at a time when tensions remain high across the West Asia region. And most importantly, it comes a day after sharp escalation, remember, in West Asia, with reports of action involving Iran's Qasem Island, retaliatory strikes linked to Bahrain and Kuwait as well, raising the fears of a wider regional conflict. Against that backdrop, US President Donald Trump has now struck a very optimistic tone, saying that talks with Iran are progressing very well, and also saying that a breakthrough could be possible as early as this weekend. Listen in to what he said.
The other things that's important, and very important, is that immediately upon signing the Memorandum of Understanding, the Hormuz Strait will open, and it'll open up quickly. And we've already had our minesweepers there. You know, we're sweeping, as you probably have heard. And these are underwater minesweepers, a great, amazing technology. They're underwater because usually when you're looking for mines, that usually means you have some dangerous characters out there. That's why, so we're underwater, but we've swept mines, and we've gotten most of them, we think. So, but the Hormuz Strait will open immediately upon signing. Now, that's subject to a couple of areas being cleaned out also of mines, which we don't think there are any. So it'll happen very quickly, and we'll take the southern route anyway. But immediately upon signing, we open up the Hormuz Strait.
Just to clarify.
Let me get you more perspective and go across to Mr. Eric, senior journalist based in USA, joining us live on the broadcast. Thank you so much, sir, for connecting with us. How do you look at the situation in West Asia? Because now Donald Trump is striking a very optimistic tone, saying that the deal talks, the back-channel talks, they are going on very well, and a deal could be struck as soon as this weekend is what we're learning so far. But this comes a day after, in fact, remember, there was an attack on the Qasem Island, and Iran also retaliated and hit back as far as Bahrain and Kuwait are concerned. How do you look at this entire situation unfolding in the last 24 hours?
Well, I look at the recent skirmishes. That's how I would define them, as skirmishes. We're not in an all-out war with Iran anymore. We're seeing this cat and mouse game happen out in the Strait of Hormuz. But I wouldn't say that anything there is in danger of escalating situations. So I'm not that concerned about that. I do appreciate President Trump's optimism. I encourage this war to come to some kind of agreement. That's going to come down to Iran and whether President Trump can come to some kind of formal agreement. However, it does seem like we've heard this song and dance before, so I'm not going to get overly excited about that yet until we start to see Iran start to publicly admit that they're going to, proceed with an agreement with President Trump. So I'm trying to, not get my hopes up too high, but hope for the best at the same time. I think everybody's wanting to go into that direction. We just have to figure out a way to get there.
Absolutely. You're very right in pointing that we have seen this before. He has time and again in the last few months mentioned that a deal would be struck very soon, and he was very optimistic lately. But then we have also seen strikes on Iran as well, and counter strikes as well. Stay on with us. We have another breaking update coming in. Let's tell our viewers about a significant political setback for US President Donald Trump. The House of Representatives has passed a war power resolution aimed at limiting his authority to continue the action against Iran. So that's a big setback. for Donald Trump. The measures that are backed by Democrats and a handful of Republicans reflect growing opposition to the 3-month-long conflict that we have seen between US and Iran. Lawmakers supporting the resolution, they have said that it is an effort to rein in US involvement in the war and push for a diplomatic solution as well. Now, while the vote did not immediately halt the operations there in Iran, it marks a very strong rebuke of Trump's Iran policy as well. The resolution will now move to Senate, is what we are learning, where a similar effort has been received, and it has received support from the Republican senator as well. So definitely a very big setback for Donald Trump. Let me once again bring in Eric on this. Eric, we are learning that, in fact, the House of Representatives, you would be able to explain this much better. It has passed a resolution regarding the war powers aimed at limiting the authority, as far as Donald Trump is concerned, to continue the action on Iran. Do you think it will stop Donald Trump from continue to attacking Iran in the coming days as well?
Absolutely not. With the way that our system's set up, even though it passed the House, it still has to clear the Senate. And then we have to remember that President Trump still does have veto power. So if this hits his desk, he's going to veto it, and they're going to be right back at ground zero. So this has zero chance of making it into fruition. Even if it did, hypothetically, if this did, what we're looking at is Congress would have to make a decision whether or not to completely pull out of Iran, which is what they want to do. What kind of condition would that leave the Middle East if we just pull out of that region? It will be a full-out disaster. Iran will have claimed that they have scared off the United States of America, and they will have free reign to do as they please in the Middle East. That is not a position I think any of the Gulf neighbors want to be in. It would be a huge disaster to do that.
All right, so this resolution has been passed to stop the action in Iran. Very importantly, you mentioned that it has to pass through Senate, and then Trump has the veto power as well. So it is unlikely that he will stop any sort of attack on Iran. Thank you so much, Eric, for putting that into perspective for our viewers.